Good morning, students. Today we will start with the chapter 4 of Civics, that is the key element of the democratic government. So, what we are going to study in this chapter? We are going to study about the story of South Africa and its struggle to become a democracy. Thus, we get to know what it means to be a democracy. Then we will go to the participation, how people participate in democracy by election, taking interest in government policies, criticizing whenever required. Then the next topic is need to resolve conflict, in which we will see how the conflict occurs and what the government do to resolve the conflict. Then equality and justice. When we talk about a democratic government, so democratic government, for it equality and justice is important. So, in the last chapter, we talked about what is government and the various types of government. Of the various types of government that we have discussed, one of the type of the government, that is the democratic type of the government. As the name suggests, is the government by the people and the government is finally answerable to the people. Now, what are the major elements of the democratic government? So, in the simple terms, we can say there are 8 primary elements on which democratic government is being established. So, the first is individual freedom or personal freedom. Then you have political freedom. Political freedom is the ability of nation citizens to participate freely in the political process. Then you have political equality. Political equality is the equality of a society whose members are of equal standing in terms of political power. This is expressed in such principle as one person, one vote, equality before the law, and equal right of the free speech. Then you have rule of laws where law and order is followed. Whatever is done for a common good or a common welfare allow human dignity, so that is where the apartheid comes in. Then being informed and getting involved is very important. So right to information act comes under it. Since we have right to information, we are saying we are being informed and we are getting involved, and therefore we need right to information act, so RTI comes under it. And finally, respect. So respect for individual property, respect for self, all these come under final pillar of the democratic government. So any democratic government is based or has a foundation on these 8 pillars, and based on that we say we are working for the welfare of the society. Now the first thing we need to understand, what is apartheid? Apartheid has been common since the days of British invention in the various corner of the world. Now this apartheid technically means that you are separating people or separating group based on the races. So let's say in South Africa, when apartheid movement started, it was basically recognized people as black who belongs to South Africa, white who came from Europe to settle there, and Indians who came as the laborer and traders. So that was the distinction. Nelson Mandela was the person who, under the African national, he was the first to work around the movement in such a great figure, and finally in 1994, a very recent, South Africa became a democratic nation. Now what kind of difference were there? So when it comes to difference, there were separate hospitals and so were ambulances. An ambulance made for white people would always be well maintained, while one for the black people was not. There are separate trains and buses. Even the bus stops were different. According to law, these races were not allowed to mingle with each other, to live near each other, or even to use common facilities. The local language was Zulu that the black had to speak, and Afrikaans was one of the language that English used to speak, and the people from the black origin were not allowed to use that as one of their languages. But they were forced to speak African language in the school, but they wanted to speak their own language, Zulu. Now the best land in the country had to live on the worst available land. Non-whites were not allowed to participate in elections. Whenever black protested, they were beaten up mercilessly by the police and often shot dead. So, these were some of the small examples where we could trace, but tracing just these small examples does not explain how big the issue was. So it was basically a fight for respect, a fight for dignity that led to a movement, not only some part of the South Africa, but ultimately throughout the globe. And there was a kind of revolution that occurs. That was through participation force, which we will continue in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.